This is a review of the G.I. Joe USS Flagg, and in that regard, it does not stand alone on YouTube. There are a handful of them, and all give you a decent idea of what the flag is all about. This review is different. Many a reviewer showed the USS Flagg through either very objective lenses, or disinterested, or both. G.I. Joburg take this playset very seriously, and we have some very serious views on the playset itself. So expect criticism, expect praise, but above all, expect a kind of emotion that something like the flag should stir in the heart of any toy collector. So let's get stuck in, shall we?
The flag, in very broad strokes, is primarily a structure of interlocking scaffolding or trussing, molded in metallic plastic. It's rather brittle and broken tabs are pretty common. If you bump into the massive obstacle that is the USS Flagg, chances are good the trusses are going to stress. Resting atop the support framework are the deck plates, 5 in total. They are molded in a far more durable plastic, akin to the plastic you'd find kiddie playhouses molded in.
These little clips are the heroes of the operation. Tough and unlikely to stress or crack, they hold the deck plates in place, locked onto the truss, and give this behemoth much needed support. The tower is comprised of several light grey pieces that snap together, but after deconstructing and reconstructing the tower a number of times, I vowed never to do it again for fear of breakage. Not even a YouTube review is going to get me to back down on that vow. The tower then slides into the main deck plate. A pair of Y-shaped pins are intended to slide in here and here to hold the tower in place. I don't have them, but I find gravity and friction do a fine enough job so I don't miss them.
This flexible plastic strap attaches to the port side of the flag, giving it the impression of a solid hull. There is even a molded ridgeline, which is a neat detail, on what is arguably the flag's weakest component. And there she is, folks, the USS Flagg. So named after the late general who oversaw the formation of the G.I. Joe team, General Lawrence J. Flagg. It's a nice touch, forever reminding the Joes of their roots, their mission of counter-terrorism and the eradication of Cobra, not to mention a great toy nod to a character who existed only in the comic books and had no action figure incarnation at the time.
So that's the flag, and suffice it to say, it leaves something to be desired. After assembling it for the first time, I decided that there were a few essential but simple mods that the flag required. I cannot reconcile a G.I. Joe toy or playset that is impossible to move, and the flag is such a toy. You have to break it down in order to move it from place A to place B. So to give the flag some mobility, I cut up a wooden board, added 6 trolley wheels, and painted the whole affair grey. I also find the ship's stature to be a little low. It hurts the proportions of the vessel. And so I raised the trusses on wooden blocks to double their height. And now, she's a far more stately ship. And it allows for more deck space below. And if you have a large enough room, you can even sail it about. A bit. Lastly, the flag has some pretty cavernous spaces. Anyone trying to snap pictures within the tower would know just how difficult it is to light. It's unrealistic to light it side on. Natural light doesn't permeate it in any believable way. Any vessel like this would have had overhead fluorescence, and to that end, I put in a selection of LEDs to give the tower a realistic feel. Now you can see what the hell is going on in there. It also looks pretty decent from the outside, though it does show off the plastic's translucence a bit. As a result of the raised hull, you can now fit any number of suitable items down there. Jets fit, but don't look quite right. The best toys to fill up the below decks are your amphibious craft like the Whale, the APC, and the Warthog. And you're still left with areas fit for crew quarters. Thanks Marauder John for the bunks.
Up top, the standard features remain unchanged. For defense, the flag has a tower-mounted box missile launcher with 6 missiles, presumably long-range, anti-aircraft. The design makes them look a hell of a lot like the Phoenix missiles, which the F-14 Tomcats used to carry. There are 3 76mm rapid-fire anti-ship cannons and plenty of detection systems for monitoring everything from the weather to how many Cobra attack craft are coming around to play. If Cobra's in the neighborhood, you can scramble the Sky Striker. Hit the alert function on the mic.
Scramble Sky Strikers! Scramble Sky Strikers! This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Engines inbound. Ace, move your ass.
Get strapped in, Ace. Tow the jet into place with a specially designed tow vehicle. Removable cover. Raise the blast shield. Cleared for takeoff. And when coming into land, don't forget the arrestor hook. Erk.
As for the other features, there's a deck elevator that goes nowhere and is only big enough for an Alpha or Bravo sized vehicle. It is also the fiddliest part to install and break down. The connections between the support cage and the deck are a nightmare to remove without stressing or cracking. The included deck vehicle has 2 functions: fuel truck or Sky Striker tow vehicle. The hoses are shiny, flexible pipe. A pity there were no fuel nozzles on any of the line's aircraft, but take nothing away. This is a fantastic and thoughtful inclusion. This, however, is not a fantastic or thoughtful inclusion. It is supposed to be a boat, but instead it is a woefully uninspired single piece of plastic with a puzzling sculpt. 1985 was a Joe series that distinguished itself as having the most technically accurate vehicles. The Admiral's launch doesn't have a wheel, or anything resembling a seat, or a motor. If you're done ignoring the Admiral's launch, take a look at the functioning crane with a removable cover. Wind the hook out by hand with a satisfying and terrifying clickety-clack sound. There's really so much fantastic sculpting in what would be considered planar areas. For instance, while the Flagg has only 2 functioning doors, there are sculpted representations of doors at all the cannon emplacements, and a 4th one atop the tower, presumably for maintenance and reloading of the missile launcher. The surface of the tower also boasts a lot of technical intricacy. There's a lot going on here. And an area that gets very little attention but is no doubt intended to be a play area is this region below the tower. There are even stickers to give the area some life, and even if you're blind to the play possibilities down there, you can at least hang your mic on the sculpted slot.
The brutal critique of the legendary Flagg. It's a glorified enabler. On its own, once you can look past the sheer size, it's not much of a toy. Nobody plays with their Flagg alone. It's an environment for you to enjoy your other toys. It doesn't move. I can't seem to stress this enough. Assuming you have a room large enough to move it around, you can't. Once you've laid it down, it's there to stay. And over 2 meters long and 1 meter wide at its widest point, that's space that few people have and even fewer can commit to. It's not tough. Something the size of playground equipment that is about as durable as any other G.I. Joe vehicle can be a little misleading. Contrary to popular belief, you cannot take a nap on the deck. These super brittle truss structures will buckle and snap as if they were made from eggshell. It's not a very convincing ship hull. The underside is a total cheat. And the plastic strap they supply to hide her shame is a bit of a slap in the face. This is not a failing of the included tow vehicle, but rather a shortcoming of the 30th anniversary Sky Striker. It doesn't have the all-important screw hole. You can't cart the modern Sky Striker around, and that's a real shame. It would cost nothing to mold an appropriately sized hole in the right spot. Maybe it didn't occur to Hasbro. Similarly, the arrestor hook won't fit the 30th anniversary Sky Striker. The old school Striker is more finely molded back there. And here's a minor quibble to pepper the major ones. This cannon is so totally caught under a massive overhang. It has such a narrow fire radius that it begs the question, why did they bother in the first place? Easier to just put another radar unit back there.
So with the bad out of the way, let's praise the flag for what makes it truly great. It is an enabler. What toys complement the defined launch complex? A bunch of Star Brigade figures and other personnel. What toys complement an MCC? Figures in a small vehicle like a Triple T, Armadillo, or Ore Striker. With the flag, it's more a case of what toys can't I incorporate with the carrier. Put differently, the flag instantly becomes the center of your G.I. Joe universe. It's a mobile strike base with a global reach, and that is perfect for G.I. Joe. Nearly all of their naval and air vehicles can find a home on the flag. You're limited only by your imagination. And space. Even on the largest playset ever crafted for 3 3/4 inch action figures, you run the risk of running out of space rather quickly. And that begs the question, what's the best configuration for a flag?
It marries to the Sky Striker with features like the arrestor cable and tow vehicle so naturally. To fully appreciate your flag, a Sky Striker is a must. One Sky Striker. Any more than that and you're going to have massive space issues. It will forever be the downfall of the venerable Sky Striker that the wings can't be retracted while the landing gear is down. Something that doesn't take up too much space and also meshes well with the flag is a shark. And I'm not talking Jaws, I'm talking SHARC shark. It is the right dimensions to make use of the deck elevator. And it's conceivable that the crane can be used to haul it back on deck. You're going to have to get creative on how you do it though. There's nothing obvious to hitch the hook onto. As a submersible recon vehicle that flies and doesn't take up too much space, it's a no-brainer.
Next up, a chopper. The Dragonfly is on the box art, but the Tomahawk is the more versatile of the two with its internal troop space. Tomahawks also have wheels and not skids, making it easier to move around on deck. Unfortunately, if you indeed have an old school Tomahawk or two, the non-foldable rotors give her a bigger footprint than she ought to have. Regrettable, because the body of a Tomahawk is slender and quite carrier friendly. Perhaps the newer Eaglehawk would be the best choice, as it does have foldable rotor blades.
And with just these 3 vehicles you're already out of space. But if you're working within limitations, this is the 3 to have. If you don't care for limitations, however, you can do this. I call this configuration the Tower of Awesome. And if you're the unfussy brand of collector, you can invite Chap May and Power Team Elite to the party. Looking good.
And I almost forgot. If you got one of these, hopefully you also got one of these. This is a terrific figure. Weigh him against anything else produced in the vintage line. His details are top notch. The stars on his lapels, the steel ball chain for his dog tags, the eagle tempo patch, the belt buckle, the crazy googly eyes. This is one handsome motherfucker.
You get vehicle drivers who drive jeeps. This guy drives an aircraft carrier, and the figure has the appropriate gravitas to pull it off.
He's an admiral, highest rank of any member of the G.I. Joe team. But what is so very cool is how much swagger this guy has, in spite of his status.
Had I had this toy as a child, my mind races as to how I would have implemented it. It'd be hard to imagine him as anything other than the boss of the whole outfit. But in my old age, he's confined to be the guy that sits in the chair. It's a pity, really, but I don't have any regrets about him being one of the best figures ever produced. So, to conclude, if this video finds people who are toying with the idea of getting a flag, and if our criticisms haven't put you off, and you have the capital, the space, and the understanding of the fellow human beings you share your life with, I'd say pull the trigger. It's toy history. It's more rooted in G.I. Joe mythos than its holy grail brother, the defined launch complex. It's a killer parking space for some of the best G.I. Joe toys ever produced. I bought one for myself in Christmas of 2010, assembled it with 2 of my best friends. It was the last time we all played with G.I. Joe together, and will remain a pretty cherished memory.